This is Ned's NRL Unpopular Opinions with Gerald Yoyi, Oscar Panafix, Liam Fogarty, and Ryan Cook.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ned's NRL Unpopular Opinions. I am your host, Ryan Cook, and I'm delighted to say we are back to full strength this week as we look ahead to another big round of rugby league. Joining me, one of the legends of the game, it's Gerald Yoyi.
Oh, it's good to be back, boys. Hello, everyone, and hello to all you three as well.
The man that actually brings some hard-hitting analysis to the show. He's running on island time.
Fogs is back.
Fogs is back. No, it's Oscar Panafix.
Thank you, mates. Yeah, good to be here, boys. Glad to have the family back together again.
Yeah,
it's
good.
I had to go get some blood done this morning, and the doc said no heavy lifting today, so I can't carry his like I used to.
He's brought jokes today. Okay.
Stop it.
And back from his third holiday of the year, it's Mr. Bronx 13 plus, Liam Fogarty.
Yeah, it's good to be back, boys.
Haircut as well,
Yeah,
boys.
he's looking fresh
I
here.
feel lighter. Hopefully, I can keep the good tips coming.
Well, if you don't, you will be lighter because that mo will be gone.
Yeah. All right.
You look like one of the Beatles.
I feel like one of the Beatles. No, I don't
they're
know.
all dead,
Where am I
aren't
going with that?
You're like the lead in a teen Netflix like high school
Okay.
like,
Musical.
TV series.
It could happen, you
Could
know.
be sponsored by McDonald's the way your hair's fake.
Backstreet's back.
Thank God this is an audio thing, not a video thing.
No one gets this.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Look, quiet week of rugby league. I'd say not much happening.
Said no one ever.
Be a short show this week, I thought. Look, Demetriou out, Demetriou over. Lots of news at South Sydney.
Yeah.
We got the man here to talk about it. Oscar Panafix, Day Dot, South Sydney fan.
Yep.
They got to go. They've got to go to the
Kick
competition.
him out.
Kick him
yeah.
out.
They've got to go.
Yeah.
They've got to go.
Relegated.
I'm sick of the bye.
I'm done. I'm done with it as well.
We need an
Solve
even number of
two
teams.
problems.
Yeah.
Like, if the Tigers, we can deal with the Tigers being eighth and not, right at the end. That's fine. But when a team like this, who's got this calibre of, history behind it, it's got to go. They got to go.
I'm glad you said this caliber of history.
Yeah, not players.
Not this caliber of roster, because I think, look, there's going to be all sorts of reasons as to why Souths are where they are right now, and JD is the one who's taking a lot of the blame, as of 5 p.m. yesterday. But the rhetoric that, Souths, with the roster they've got, they should be here or there, like, there is merit to that, but I think we probably need to reevaluate just how good South Sydney's current roster is. There's some top-tier players, but then there's a lot of guys who have been in the game for a long time, journeymen or fringe first graders, guys who Wayne Bennett probably got the best out of previously in their careers, and they're probably at a point now where, last week we had a lot of names filling in starting jerseys who, wouldn't be starting at other clubs. I think it's fair enough to say.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of the roster, I pissed myself when I saw this. And Michael Cheekham named in the second row.
Big
this
dog.
week.
The great and powerful.
Big dog.
He got over 2 weeks ago anyway. Didn't he get over last week?
Nah, I think I would have blown up the chat
Yeah.
if MC scored.
But he's getting over this weekend, surely.
Yeah.
How do you rebuild the Souths, like roster?
With time. It takes time, I think. I think something was floated the other day about Jason not developing players, the way that he should have. I just think, aside from a few guys like Keon Kalamatangi, Isaiah Tass, really the list is pretty short in terms of guys that we've watched develop from 19, 20, 21-year-old kind of maybes into, all right, cool, this guy's a genuine 50 gamer.
But as the development goes, is that all stuck on Jace?
No, I'm sure it isn't.
I don't think it is. I think there's obviously got to be a good system there as well to come through to make them feel comfortable to come into first grade. Yep. Yeah, as a first grade coach, and as what I've seen over the years, you're not really touching those players that are before they're coming through.
Yep.
You've got people in those positions that are, for instance, if we're talking about Wayne Bennett at the moment, he's got people like Ben Teo who are making sure he's caressing the younger players that are coming through and putting them in the right stead. So who do they have? Who do Souths have?
Yeah, Joe Callahan's down there. John Sutton's doing some work with the junior grades. Jason Clark. I'm not sure. You'd have better insight.
I just think that the worst one out in all this is Jace. I mean, it is sucky because it's the job is, as a coach, it's all performance based, right? We know that, but there seems like there's got to be stuff lying, deeper than just what the coach is doing. And I mean, like I said, you're a Rabbitohs fan through and through. Do you think it goes deeper? Is it Is it internally? You know, where does it end? Has there been, you know, when we've seen Sam Burgess leave? You know, there's a few other things that's going on. Is it, you know, do we all just? I know sacking the coach is, you know, there's someone's got to take the blame.
Sure.
So Jace has taken the blame at the moment, but does it go deeper?
Yeah, I think, like we're never going to know, are we?
Yeah.
We're never going to know exactly what happened within those four walls to cause them to go from first to where they are now in the space of inside 12 months. All we can really gauge it on is what they're putting on, what they're dishing out each week on the field. And in that last 12 months, Souths have been awful in all the key effort areas that you usually look at as a sign of a team that's, you know, on the same page. All those kind of cliches, on the same page, moving in the right direction. We know our system, you know, all that kind of stuff. Kick chase, kick pressure, line speed, inside support, push supports with the ball. All these little areas, Souths have been one of, if not the worst team in the competition in these areas. To me, that indicates that there's some unrest, you know, within the roster or within the change rooms, but I'm never going to know for sure, am I? Unless I get to sit down with, you know, with Latrell.
Well, I've got a little bit of experience with this, with obviously being the Broncos last couple of years.
When
you know,
you see a team like that
before, you know, when obviously Anthony Seibold was at the Broncos.
Yep.
You know, for me, it didn't. I didn't even know what was going on as well. It looked like there was too many young players. They weren't experienced enough. But that's not the case.
No,
obviously here,
it's almost the other way around.
It's completely the other way around. So I just think also when the Broncos were at rock bottom, it's so hard to get out of it.
Yep.
Too, like it's when you come last, and you know, where do you go from there?
Yep.
Is that where you guys have got to go? Are you going to keep going backwards the rest of this year? I mean, I know, what is it, Ben Hornby is...
I think it'll be Ben Hornby or David Furner.
Yeah, will take over for the rest of the year. You know, will you see a bounce back, or will it just keep plummeting this year and you'll go backwards?
Yeah, I think there'll be some response. We usually see teams... And that'll give us a really good indication as to how much of the problem was JD, right? Like if Souths come out next week, or you know, on Thursday night,
Penrith this week.
Yeah, I mean it's
Very
a tough
long
task
odds for that game too.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
$6.
Yeah, pretty
But
big.
if Souths come out and their kick chase and their kick pressure and their inside support are suddenly, you know, 3 or 4 times better than they have been to start the year, that's, you know, is that an indication that this is a group of players that are happy to be playing for someone else as the coach? Or is it a sign of a group of players that have, you know, got their jobs on the line a little bit now?
Or is it a group of players that are just happy that the whole drama is over?
It's over,
that comes with having a coach under the pump, and you know, you can imagine, we're all human beings. You can imagine Jace trying to pick himself up every day and trying to get there. I mean, it would be exhausting, man. It would be so exhausting. I mean, I coach a shitty open side, and week in and week out, it's stressful to go to organise what you need to do. So I couldn't even imagine what it's like at that level. And
what would the vibe be like in the change room though? Would it change that much when a coach goes?
I think it'd be pretty depressing at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I do. I don't think for them right now, it's, even if you wanted him gone, I think there would still be boys that are just like, where do we go from here? Like, where do you go? Because now you've got to basically go, all right, do we have a whole different type of system of how we play footy for the rest of the year and try and pick that up now? Or do we just try and keep what we're trying to do and build those effort areas?
Yeah, but they're already talking about Cody going to 7, Jack Whiten moving into the halves. I mean, I've spoken about this on this podcast already, so I won't repeat myself. But yeah, to me, it just seems like, I think JD had to go. Whether or not he's the reason for where we are now, that's another question. But I think in terms of the context of 8 rounds into this season, there's like all the issues that were apparent in the trials in the first few weeks, they are still there.
Yeah.
Like they were there last week. They were there in that improved loss against Cronulla 2 weeks ago. Like, so I think JD had to go. We'll wait and see what that means about in terms of a response. I think the closeness of the competition this year is probably working in South's favour in terms of avoiding a dreaded wooden spoon. But yeah, I'm not expecting to see drastic changes until over the summer when we can add a few more players to this roster.
And if there is drastic changes to the coaching staff, who do you think it'll be next year?
Yeah, that's another great question. I'll throw to you guys, like as neutral fans, the thought of Wayne Bennett going back to South Sydney, is that a good or a bad thing for the club?
It depends what this direction they want to go. Is it a complete rebuild? Because if it is, then he probably is the man for the job. I'd say.
It's not long term though.
Yeah.
But is he the man? Yeah, that's the other thing. Is he the man to go? Well, I'll help rebuild it, but I've only got 1 or 2 years.
Couple of years.
You don't.
Not what you want.
No. He probably
Unless
needs to
it's
go.
Sam
He probably needs to go in a capacity of a coaching director, and help on those. But then the other thing is having Wayne Bennett as a coaching director. How much pull do you have as a coach?
As a coach, yeah.
So, because we know that he's going to pull most of the strings if he does
Look at
go
Mal
there.
at the Titans.
Yeah.
Like that really didn't amount to
No.
much.
Yeah, that's
like,
why I was trying to think of a good example
Yeah.
of a coaching director role that really worked for the club.
I mean, who else is there really as a
Who's in
as
the
a
wings?
coach?
well, they're
No.
talking about Sam Burgess. They're talking about Adrian Lamb.
I you know what? I don't hate Adrian. I think when we talk about, I was going to bring him up anyway, but I think he's done his time in England.
Yep.
I think he's got his credentials.
Yep.
As a coach, like Sam, you need to go and do your craft. Like
Learn
as you watch coaches as we get older, if I was 23 or 24, I'd go put Sam Burgess in there right now because I've never really experienced of watching coaches like this. But I think Adrian Lamb has done done his dues over there. He's won competitions, he's won awards. I think if there's any coach that can probably implement what they want and how they want it, it's probably him. And it's probably a bit far fetched, but he seems like a good candidate.
We do have to pivot. We've got plenty else to talk about. We could talk about this all day. But just quickly, question without notice. Speaking of coaches, who's going to be the next one sacked?
Brad Arthur.
That seems to be the popular choice, yeah.
I don't know if he will.
I think that Parramatta look like they're playing. To me, they look like a team that's playing for a change. I think they're looking for a change.
Yeah.
I mean,
And they've just
Brad
lost.
Arthur, I think it was 2 years ago as well that we had this conversation about Brad Arthur. I don't know if it was on this podcast at all, but like in the world of rugby league, that he was like, yeah, he's going to go. And then they re-signed him for another 2 years. Yeah, I don't ever really look at Parramatta and look at Brad Arthur like that, like leaving, them sacking him. I see him leaving and on his own terms, but I've never seen him go, he should get the sack. But, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough one. I didn't even really
He's
think
the only
about it.
real candidate.
Yeah, I think so
Looking
too.
at the ladder now, like the other coaches in the bottom 8 are kind of on the they've just.
Well, Wayne will
taken
get sacked
over.
next year, so maybe it's him.
Yeah, I mean, Todd Payton's at 1 if the Cowboys don't start really turning it round. They're 4-4, but I think it's Brad Arthur for me as well.
Desi's safe, even if things go really wrong for the Titans.
He's got
from
the
here.
year at
He's
least.
got some time.
No, Desi's got more
Adam
than a year.
O'Brien's got time. Trent I mean, if Roosters didn't just win by 60,
Yeah.
we're sitting here talking about Trent maybe.
How long did
that's changed
the
a lot.
last Titans coach? What was his name?
Justin Holbrook had 3 years.
Yeah,
I
he had
think.
3 years.
Yeah.
So they're not going to sack
give Desi
Desi.
longer than-
They'll give him a while.
Long leash for Desi. All right, boys, we're going to talk some draft now because the NFL draft was on last week. Fogs was keen to chat this. Over 750,000 people showed up in Detroit for the NFL draft. It's always
crazy.
a massive spectacle in America.
Across 3 days.
Do you guys think there's a chance we could ever see an NRL draft, and what are the pros and cons here?
Nah. It's not the way we're just not that game. I just don't believe. And we're just adopting something from overseas. Has the AFL done that as well?
The AFL's got a draft.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Not
So-
on that level, though, either.
But if AFL's got it and they're not getting to a level like that, where does it really sit with us as a sport? Yeah, I just think it's not going to happen. It's pretty cool to be able to watch. I'm not into NFL or NBA. NBA I am, but not so much NFL. But those numbers are crazy. That is insane. They buy into things though. Americans.
Yeah.
they're
unreal,
really they're getting really interested in shit like that.
It's marketed very well. I actually don't know if I want this to happen because part of me thinks that's kind of too much for something that's so
Bit gimmicky.
irrelevant in a lot of ways.
For me, it's the only way that like bottom teams can kind of really start to turn it around.
Yeah.
Like you look at how the Rabbits are going this year. Like if they finish with the spoon and then they get the first pick of the rookies coming through, like you can really turn a roster around. Whereas we've seen it with like the Tigers and the Dragons in the past. You come last and what happens? Oh, you've got to overpay to get someone to rock up.
I think of it this way because being a young football player and coming through, I just think kids will not want to move away from their families.
That's
and
the
I think
hard
that's
part.
I think that's the hard part. I think these other kids that are going in these other drafts overseas, they've got millions of money that are coming on. They can bring their families with them. Where if you've got someone from North Queensland who are moving to Melbourne, you know, it's not always, maybe Melbourne's not a good, you know, place because they've been successful with Queensland.
Gerald hates Melbourne.
No, as in like I'm
Hate
just
those
saying,
Melbourne players.
maybe it's Sydney, you know, like
Yeah.
it's kids, you see kids, I've seen a lot of kids fail and move away. So I just don't think it'll work with us.
And that's the problem in the AFL draft, isn't it? Like they all get homesick.
A
And
lot of players will sign with a club and then they want to leave after a year. That's a very Australian thing.
That's what I was about to ask. Like, and the other thing for me is how often does an 18-year-old rookie in their first season of first grade change the fortunes of the club that they're playing?
Outside of Payne Haas, it probably doesn't really happen.
Like Lachlan Galvin, for example, is doing doing some great things for 18-year-old half. Isaiah Katoa the year before, he's doing stuff that we expect out of, a 30-year-old vet. Dolphins didn't play finals footy last year when Isaiah was playing the full season.
Yeah.
Tigers, Lockie Galvin's been so impressive. They're third or fourth last on the ladder. So those are just recent examples of, I think, in our game, just great. Like if South Sydney get the next best 18-year-old back rower coming through next year, that's not going to climb them up.
And I think it's a lot about money as well. If we were getting paid, they were getting paid big bucks.
Yep.
Like I said, they could move their whole family and live with them, and adapt to another city. Friends and family fly them down whenever they want. That's the whole difference between what we have and they have. Because they're getting paid mozza.
And a lot of those American kids are out of home at 18 to go to these
go to
colleges
college and
where
stuff like
that's
that.
not the case here as much. So.
I don't think it works.
It probably ruins Q Cup and stuff as well. Just thinking out loud. So look,
There's pros and cons.
there certainly is.
Moving on to more pressing matters, boys. The calendar has ticked over to May, which means we're just over a month away from State of Origin.
Yes.
The first game is on June 5 in Sydney. We've loosely chatted about team selections over the last couple of weeks, but today we're getting into the nitty gritty.
Yep, love it.
Rich, bring up the graphic on the screen if you can. Bang! Look at that.
Stop it. There's my head.
That's outstanding.
We're going to start. I am a Queenslander, full disclosure, but for the sake of parody, I've joined the Blue selection squad.
I wasn't going to do it.
We'll start with Queensland, though.
For game 2.
The Queensland teams you boys have selected here are fairly similar.
Yeah.
Run us through it, boys.
I
Pick
think
themselves, really.
Yeah, well, they do. I mean, our backline's probably very similar. I had a few issues. Obviously, we're going to see the Hammer not play till round 11, and he's got a hamstring.
Half your team's injured at the moment, aren't they?
No. Well, obviously, Thomas Flegler's still injured a little bit as well, but I've heard he'll be right. And I don't think... The only person I think will probably have to be fit enough is probably Hammer, because it's a hamstring. Can't come into you have to at least play one game, I think, to be back and to feel good. I believe their game is on the Sunday too, not the night before their selection. So that could throw a spanner in the work for both of us.
Yep.
But if he doesn't play, I think Selwyn probably goes.
Push Cobb in
and Murray.
Murray or anyone.
But we'll go through ours. Our forward pack sort of picks itself as well. I mean, I do like having Thomas Flegler off the bench, but having those two big bodies to start the game is also very juicy as well. Jaden Sewer, I just think he's been playing pretty good footy for a side who, haven't hit their straps yet, like the Dragons. They've been winning some games. They've not played outstanding, but he actually has been playing outstanding this year. I'm filthy I left out one guy, but I had to, and that's because Jaden Sewer's played there before. He's been there, but Brendan Piacura was the other kid who I really wanted to put in my side, but I couldn't go past.
It'll happen.
Some other guys who had obviously already played before, and Brendan Piacura didn't go to the 34-man squad at the start of the year as well. That Billy had. So no,
he's not quite ready. He'll be there.
He'll be there.
He'll get his shot.
I think he'll play Origin this year. I think I said that.
Wow.
I do think he'll play at some stage this year, because I think injuries play a big role in what happens.
Yeah,
but
that's a funny position for you. It's like the only one where you've got there's a few guys injured or like in that back row, because last year it was Fafita and Cotter started on the edges.
That was game
Cotter
3.
Moved, but
that was game 3.
That's right. Yeah. The first two that you guys played, it was Fafita and Cotter, and then Nanai played out there. But who else has recently either been injured or or played back row for Queensland.
Well, it would be Capewell, but
I think
he's got
last year.
Yeah.
he's got a throat issue at the moment.
He's back this week.
Yeah, he is back this week, but I think that's had a big impact on him as well. Like I was talking to him over text, and he was saying
How much it's
it's bothered him.
Been
a little
drinking
bit.
out of his mouth.
Yeah, don't do that,
I think
guys.
Jermaine Hopgood's the other one that could see
that could have been in there as well.
jersey thrown his way.
And obviously Tom Dearden being the 80th man, it's just the right pick because any of those other guys, I believe, that are in the side that are 1 to 17 could play at other positions from, in the backs to the forwards. So you've got to have a half just in case. Because if Ben Hunt, if Daly or Cameron Munster go down, Hunt slots straight in and then Tommy becomes a 14 immediately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's shift to the Blues where things are much more convoluted. I found this really difficult. Oscar, you can go. We've got some definite changes, particularly first up at fullback.
Yes.
You've gone with Paps?
Yeah, I've gone with Paps. I laboured on this one for a while. I just think it's time for a change. I think Teddy hasn't. Yuck.
It's hard.
It's such a yucky situation. I'm really interested to see what Madge does.
You can't get rid of the skipper though.
Yeah,
He's not the skipper. He's come out and said he come out and said that no one's position is safe, and that's the beauty about being a new coach.
Well, that's what you're allowed to captain as well.
Yeah, So that's just and then you get the opportunity to change it now to one of these young stars who we all think we know who's going to get it.
Yeah,
and that's Nathan Cleary. If Tedesco's not on the side,
Yeah, look, it's going to be very interesting to see how Madge plays it. I think Tommy Trbojevic has been excellent at fullback, but I just think if you can fit him, Pappy and Edwards into the side, I think that was probably my logic there. I just love what Pappenhausen does out the back of shape for Melbourne and the way he organises their defence. It's difficult to actually get numbers or analyse how good a defensive fullback is, but Melbourne's defence has been superb this year, and I just got a feeling it's got a lot to do with Pappy. Yeah, Turbo and Critter in the centres. Critter's the best defensive centre in the game for mine. Dylan Edwards, I found a way to get him in on the wing.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah,
Dylan Edwards on the wing. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Well, I mean, if Latrell's available at centre, maybe Turbo moves or Critter moves out there. But with Latrell unavailable, I think the way Dylan Edwards is playing, that's an automatic 200-plus metres out on the edge. He played for Australia there in the World Cup.
Yep.
In
They
the
lost.
summer just past.
34.
They lost. I think his performances are deserving of rep honours. I don't think he's the answer at fullback. I think you need a genuine ball player at one.
I
for
can't
Origin.
believe that. I would pick him at fullback.
pick him at fullback?
I'd pick him at fullback. I just can't believe how much work he gets through, where he is on the field all the time. He is. I think he's done his time. I think he's done his time for New South Wales. I think if there's any changes, I think it's time.
So Pappenhausen never plays Origin.
No, I'm not
then?
saying. I'm not saying he doesn't, but
Put him on the wing.
yeah.
Did you have Edwards after Pappenhausen?
Anyway, this is not our side.
The fullback position.
Yeah.
Look, I can definitely see the argument for Edwards at fullback. Personally, I want a ball playing threat out the back of shape. I think that's where Tedesco, maybe there's room for improvement in terms of what we're putting into that position. Edwards has also got the combination with Cleary.
If there's any fullback, it's Tom Trbojevic.
I just sort of, in terms of getting all of them in, that's what I ended up with. But I could see the Turbo. I could see Edwards getting in there. I've named Luai at 6, probably against my better judgment, but I don't think Nico Hines' defence is up for Origin.
Yeah, okay.
He gets spotted up in Clubland every week. I just think it's too much of a liability at this stage. Luai's defence was pretty good. He's got the existing combination with Klez.
And he's got that mongrel. That
dog about
you boys
him.
need.
Yeah, I'm not a massive Jerome Luai fan personally, but
See, we love every single one of our players.
Mitch Moses being injured, I think he was a great pick for the New South Wales 6 jumper, but we'll wait and see if he comes back in time. Appy's the second best dummy half in the game right now. Payne explains itself. Jake, just listening to Madge talk in podcasts and on the Matty John show, he keeps talking about wanting to see guys play an 8 or a 9 or a 10 out of 10 for 20 to 30 weeks at a time. For that reason, I think that's why I've gone Edwards over Lomax. I don't think we've seen Lomax do what he's doing for long enough. So therefore, that explains selections like Trbojevic can just start, play 25 through the middle, and then I've got Isaiah Yeo in my prop rotation.
Yeah, so you've got Yeo coming off the bench, not starting.
Yep.
That's the big thing that stands out on your team to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I just think that Jake Trbojevic can take the sting out of the game. He's not going to bump your tackles and put up a heap of meters, but he'll get through a shitload of work in defence. And then you bring on Isaiah Yeo, who carries the ball like a prop. His leg speed, I think, would just be a good point of difference around the ruck once there's some fatigue, and it allows you to play him and Cam Murray through the middle for big minutes. Liam Martin explains himself. Kaloa Matangi might be a contentious selection, but that dude played 73 minutes in the front row last week for South Sydney because we've got no middles. He is so frigging good at rugby league. He is as damaging as Ola Kawatu on an edge. He can spot up for 20 minutes or 73 minutes in Clubland in the middle. Junior Paulo has been there, done that.
I think that's where I've got mine wrong because when I sent it to Fogs, I was like, I don't know if I want him starting.
Middles,
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to have
small bench.
You've got to at least have two big boys on the bench.
I like
or two middles.
And then you've got Cam McInnes at 14. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, you're fucking winding me up here, folks. but-
I've spent a lot of time reading this.
Yeah, I laboured on that one as well. I think that one's between Reece Robson and Cam McInnes.
It just makes me really happy that it's so hard to pick your side.
Yeah.
When,
Your systems,
like for
mate.
us, like it's just, our system is, and then we've got these kids who are coming through at the moment that
Yeah.
are just we're raring to go. Like,
There's plenty of room for error for New South Wales.
yes,
that's for
there
sure.
is. There is.
Yeah, you guys are, the dividends are being paid on the system that you've had over the last 5-10 years of bringing guys in and introducing them,
Yeah.
so you know where the next.
Well, all these guys are still hurt from watching
from the 8.
from the 8. Like I believe, I honestly believe that.
It's putting you back 20 years.
Like I honestly do believe. I know that people might not.
I don't even know.
I honestly think people might
there's
not be
nothing
thinking like that, but I think there's so much trauma
Nah,
on
mate.
these
Oh,
kids that have
100%.
watched that 8 in a row.
Mate, South Sydney had some trauma when Madge rocked up. Look what happened.
And then
Yeah, but he also went
feel
to the West
good.
Tigers and
It's how you respond to your scars.
That's
you
right.
know?
Ryan, you've got Matt Burton and off the bench at 17. Why have you got two?
well, he needs a punter,
sorta
like the NFL style.
Yeah, okay.
Come on the field.
Yeah,
and
just
special
getting
balls.
rid of the ball. Talk to me about Matt
In case
Burton.
there's some kick tests.
Yeah, look,
Special teams, special plays, special players.
Unlucky not to be named, but
Brother.
I think he matches up better on the right edge with Cleary.
Wait, so who do you have him coming off for?
I don't know. I need to think.
That's why he's a Queenslander.
I was going to ask too, Oscar. You don't have Robson in your side.
Yeah, for me, it's between McInnes or Robson for that 14 role. Robson did a hell of a job in last year's series, playing big minutes when Damien Cook, did his thing out in the centres there for some reason. I just think McInnes obviously matches that Cotter kind of vibe in the sense that he can be a running middle forward as well as some service out of half. I could go either way. I can see that going either way.
At least 5 or 6 changes from your side game 3 last year, I believe.
How many debutants have I got? 2.
2.
Hamole
Yeah.
and McInnes if he gets picked.
I think Amole
no,
is
Edwards.
probably done enough, I believe, to be in your side.
I think he has
yeah.
to be there.
Yeah.
You've got to
Whether
do
it's
something
starting or
different.
bench.
I actually, and you know what? I don't hate the shout on Zach Lomax because
Yeah.
as a winger that's played the game, those the 50-50 catches close to the line are a big thing, man. Because if you can get repeat sets on your line and in an origin, they're the big ones. I mean, hasn't always paid dividend to both like Queensland and New South Wales because it's such a defensive sound game. But if you can, I just think he's such a threat
Yeah, he is.
in that field, and he's carrying the ball back
Very well.
out of his own half very well as well. Like he's not getting dominated; he's winning the tackle. He's a big, honestly,
Bit of spark,
I've
that's what
met
I was
him a
going
few
for.
times. He's a big human being.
You've got to play him against Xavier Coates, who is the other high ball specialist.
Yeah.
So if
Matches up well.
you don't put Lomax on Coates, he's just going to dunk on you all night.
And wow.
It's good to be talking about
Origin,
it.
baby.
Clip it. This is the best.
All right, boys, we've got to move on. We're going to come back with some betting. Let's get into the offload.
All the betting trends from around the comp. This is the Offload.
It's time to talk some betting with 4 blokes that couldn't tip their way out of a paper bag. But first, Oscar, you're back on the Neds blog this week with your much anticipated tri-annual rankings. It's basically power rankings of every single club and how you see it. No surprise to see who sits on top, the Melbourne Storm. Fairly easy choice, I would have thought, when you're writing this.
Yeah, it was for me. I mean, Penrith and Brisbane, I think, have both been superb as well. And Cronulla fans will say, well, look at us sitting up there in first place on the ladder. Yeah, for me, though, Melbourne, the way they've been winning games, the phrase setting it up early to win it late is one we like to use at Rugby League Riders. So teams that are promoting a lot of fatigue and pressure into the defence early in games and then winning it late. That's what Penrith have done for the last 3 years, and it's what Melbourne have done to start this season. Think of those match-winning tries to Xavier Coates. Are they lucky, or is that just the sign of a team putting himself in position to win games? So you've been very impressed with the Storm to start the year.
And lastly, like every good rider, you haven't let your bias get in the way of a good yarn. You've got South Sydney sitting dead last.
All the way down the bottom.
I was going to ask you when we spoke about this in the intro, but do you see them winning the Spoon?
No, I think there's some worthy candidates around them on the ladder still that are a chance of winning it. Like I said before, the closest of the competition, I think, will make that an interesting, if not, painful watch for myself. Yeah, South's down the bottom. Some teams kind of jumping around. You can check this one out on the Ned's blog and roast me in the comments as I got hammered for last year when I did these. But I've got the Bulldogs down at 13th, despite sitting in 8th position on the NRL ladder right now. I'm not convinced on the Bulldogs. There's certainly some genuine improvements there this year, but they've had a really, really soft draw. They've won less games than 3 clubs below them. It's a good example of an early bye skewing the ladder. What were you
I was about to say the Sharks. I was just looking at them. Don't come at him too early, everyone, because they've played terrible teams.
Yeah,
they played one probably top 8 team, and that's been the Warriors.
That's right.
And they've just got home. The Raiders have sort of gone to shit since we started to talk about them, which is great. But
we'll claim that, surely.
Put the curse on.
Other than that,
Pumps Cowboys. Yeah,
So,
Sharkies is first at the moment on the ladder. I think I've got them 6th. There's improvements there in terms of a better balanced attack with what Blake Brayley and Braden Trindle are doing. But yeah, they've beat some pretty average teams so far this year. I think the rhetoric will still kind of continue around Sharks versus top 8 caliber sides. I put the Dragons at 10th, which might seem like a bit of a stretch. To me, they just look like a team that is learning a lot every week.
Very fast, yeah.
Really quick. Shane Flanagan's just trying to pour as much as he can into them. And some weeks they put it all together, and some weeks there's just too much going on for them to apply on the field. I think if they can stay relatively healthy, I think the Dragons have a lot more upside than a few of the teams around them, like Cowboys and Knights and Raiders without Fogarty. And then the other probably head scratcher was I put the Wars up in 5th, despite sitting 13th or 12th.
They've got a lot of middles out at the moment, don't they?
So many middles missing. They've lost to a gun Raiders side. No, hang on. That might be Tigers that I'm thinking of. Wars have lost to Melbourne and Penrith. And they got done by the Sharks last minute.
And they drew as well.
They drew against Manly. They haven't had a bye yet. If you give them that win against Manly and give them a bye, they're actually sitting 4th on the ladder right now. Yeah. So another really good example of a team that is buggered with injuries at the moment. But I think the Warriors' ceiling, if they can get everyone fit and healthy, I'm still pretty confident they'll be there or thereabouts.
There's something about rankings that gets people up and about, so I'm looking forward to these comments. Fogs, over to you. We've got a bit of a futures forecast. We're at about the 2-month mark of the season, so we thought we'd detail some of the movers in the market.
Yeah, so there's 2 clear front runners in the market at the moment. It's obviously Penrith, they're $3.20, and Brisbane are just behind them at $3.75. Cronulla, sitting top of the table at the moment, they're $13. I think that'll go backwards pretty quickly. Melbourne is sitting at $6. Sydney Roosters are $10. Who do you want to know about, really? Who do we want to talk about?
I want to know about the Dragons.
The Dragons.
Tell us the Drags.
Dragons are sitting at $81.
Holy hell.
Still feeling good about that round 1 prediction?
No,
Top
I do.
8?
Yeah, I still am feeling good. I think they'll just slip in there. I said that. I didn't say that they would clear it easily, but I said they'd slip in there.
Timsy's Manly is sitting at 14. I think that's a bit of value considering how well they're playing at the moment.
What do you got Tigers and Bulldogs at, please?
Yeah, so the West Tigers are $201.
Yep.
Familiar territory to last year. Yep. And who do you want, the Bulldogs?
Yep.
They are $51 to win the comp.
There is no way that the Tigers are 4 times worse than the Bulldogs.
It's a good point.
This year. Bulldogs have won one more game than them, and the teams they've versed have been ass. Nice.
Yeah.
Wests have lost to a really good Raiders side in round 1, Broncos and Penrith. They're 2-5.
Oscar, your Souths are 101 to win the comp, but not the Dolphins, the Titans are
They're the longest.
longest at 251 bucks.
Shocker.
Yeah, see, I got doggies at 13 to win the spoon at the start of the year. I'm like still kind of pretty happy about that.
Yeah. I wouldn't be
Sorry,
mad about
Bulldogs
it.
fans.
They came after you in the comments too when we
they?
put that video up. So yeah, I'm sure they'll be keeping
They've
receipts.
also had no injuries.
They
Like,
had no injuries.
no injuries.
And
We'll see what happened to them last year when
and
they had
such an easy draw.
two of their key players gone. See you later. Shit the bed.
Yep.
Good chat as always, boys. We're going to come back with the multi.
Surely they get one up this week. It's the NRL Podcast Multi.
It's time to talk the multi. We still haven't got one up at all this year, but we did go probably the closest that we have.
We've been close.
Yeah, we have been close.
Close every week.
Last week was one of those weeks. Fogs, you kicked us off with the Bronx -7.5, the alternate line against the Tigers.
Yeah, and did he get home?
They did.
Excellent.
Back to
Well,
back.
the Mo's still here. The Mo's still here. We don't have the Clippers, so yeah, you're happy days.
He's in a purple patch. I took the Knights to cover +6.5, which I feel pretty good about
Yeah, it was a
considering
good
what
bet.
happened a week ago. Oscar, you took the Titans +13.5, and I think Gerald, you even tipped last week
Head to head.
head to head that the Titans would win.
I did, and I didn't take it in my multi.
That would have been big.
What did you take?
I took. What did I take?
You know, we just spoke about
I
it.
took the Dragons to cover, and they went to shit. That was a terrible game to watch. Like it was 60.
Unless you're a Roosters.
Unless
or
you're a
Sam
Roosters
Walker
supporter,
fan.
got off to a great. I mean, like we just were talking about it off air, off the mics, saying the Moses Surley thing really hurt them off the kickoff. And once one of your key centres goes down and you're trying to shuffle around, it's pretty hard to. They raided that side a fair bit, and most of the points come from there. So yeah, not happy about it. Can't, but I'm not going to hide. I don't hide. I'm just going to attack. So mine lost.
So we spoke a few weeks ago about getting a leg wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to pay the punishment. And
Okay.
Fogs nearly did.
What's shame, mate? What am I going to have to do?
We might have to have a chat off air.
Yeah,
about
what are we going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really much. Like,
You're not very hairy.
no.
A piercing.
Oh, actually, I need to get my ears pierced again. Honestly, they.
We'll pierce them for you.
I don't care. They're already. I got them done at Stradbroke Island actually when I was younger.
Really?
Two
Really?
young ladies
That's
did it for me. I tried to get a start, so I just told them to pierce my ears. I got the ears pierced. Didn't get the start.
Story time with Jay Wawa.
That's it this
We
week.
got one.
The record as it stands now, Oscar, you've improved to 5-4. Gerard, you've fallen to 3-6. Tied with Fogs now, who's also 3-6.
Mates, you two.
Yay.
And I am 7-2.
Well done, Ryan.
Cheers,
You're being
boys.
carved,
Well, this is your
mate.
job.
Yeah, sometimes.
And I do used to play rugby league, so I'm not sure what's going on with me.
This week, I'm going to kick us off. I'm taking Manly to cover against the Raiders on Friday afternoon.
Yep, like it.
3-1 at home as a line. Favourite? Gerard, you're next.
Yeah, well, I went away from the Titans last week because to a head-to-head bet, and I'm just going to go back to the head-to-head bet. I'm going the Bronx. At home, Ezra Man back, up the Donkeys against the Roosters.
Fogs, same game.
Yeah, I'm also in the Broncos game. And
I'm nervous
I'm
now.
drinking.
I'm so nervous.
I'm drinking my own Kool-Aid this week. I'm not taking a result. I'm taking a try score. And it's Dean Mariner. Anytime try scorer.
Yes,
$1.75.
love it.
Dean's not only been the first try scorer in his last 2 games, he's also scored at least 1 try in 6 of his last 7 appearances. He's got 6 in 6 games this year. Give me some Dean Mariner.
Here we go.
He's so fast.
He is fast.
Oh,
He
he's
makes
different
nut
fast.
Not fast.
He's so fast, he makes me fuck the quote up.
Oscar, you just spoke about the Wires and you're pretty confident in them on Sunday.
I have taken the Wires -4.5, I think I said.
Yep.
Up against the Knights without KP, potentially without one of the Saifidi brothers. Tyson Frizzell is also missing. The Wires finally getting some names back. Kurt Capel, I think, is back this week.
He is, yeah.
D Walks returned last week. Bunty Afoa back in the pack as well. Yeah, I think the Warriors haven't been playing poorly, but they haven't been getting results. I think they need a win this week.
All right, to recap, I've gone Manly to cover it versus Canberra on Friday afternoon. Gerard, you've got the Bronx head-to-head. Fogs has gone Dean Mariner anytime in that same game. Very nervous stuff.
Big dog.
And Oscar, you go on the Wars. -4.5 versus the Knights. Final game on Sunday. We're getting $7.43.
And boys,
Oh, here we go.
I'm getting on
the
it,
first
boys.
time.
Yeah, let's go.
I was on it last week. I was on it
Oh,
last
did you?
week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah, this is one. This is it. Here we go. We're getting off the mark.
You can find that multi in the special section on the Neds app. That's about it for the show today, boys. We've got to name the episode, though.
Yeah. Let's name it.
Gerald's Coffee Stand.
No, God. It's been a tough morning, everyone. I've got no gum this morning, and I spilled coffee on myself. I'm a real piece of shit.
Rattled.
Just call it Rattled.
Yeah, rattled.
Let's do it. What are we looking forward to this weekend?
Long weekend.
Is it?
A holiday.
Oh,
Next
Labor Day Monday.
There we
Labor
go.
Day.
Yeah.
That's a
I don't
pleasant
actually know what
surprise.
that means.
Nah, I don't know.
But if you're in the area and you want to come and watch some footy on the weekend,
Loves
get
a
down
plug,
to West
this bloke.
Arana.
Loves a plug.
Because we're playing Redlands. That's out your way, isn't it?
No, it's on the way.
Okay. Sorry, all those,
Saturday or
all
when
those
you-
people.
when you-
Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Pigpen was packed last
How'd
week.
you go?
Yeah, we won.
Oh, nice.
We're undefeated for the year.
I texted you and asked you what time the game
Oh,
was.
did you? Oh, sorry.
Crickets.
Sorry.
Nothing.
Sorry.
Wow.
Because I don't care. Yeah. If you get a chance, come down. We'll get a win. We're going to rear offender.
we're not actually friends on this show. We just work together.
I want to give a shout out to Luke Keary, who announced
yeah.
his retirement at the end of the season.
Queenslander.
Famous
Ipswich were.
Queenslander. Look, coming at an interesting time, Luke, making that announcement in a week where Sam Walker, it appeared, took control of that Roosters attack, which is something I've been waiting for a while. I think Sammy's the future there, but Luke Keary's got to be one of the most underrated playmakers in the NRL today. A 3-time premiership winner, a Clive Churchill medalist. His best footy's, I'm sure he would admit, is probably behind him, but he's been a hell of a competitor for a long time. So, yeah, congratulations to Lukey.
Yeah, congrats.
Fogs, anything from you?
Yeah, look, I didn't realise it was a long weekend, so I'm going to do a flip into a
send
tree out the front of a pub.
Missed it.
Yeah.
Can we name it Kenty?
I might fight an NRL journalist this weekend.
You still got your watch on.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
All right, boys, great show as always. We'll be back to recap round 9 next week.
Totally forgot about that.
Thanks for listening to Ned's NRL Unpopular Opinions. Enjoyed the podcast? Remember to like, subscribe, and rate the show wherever you get your podcasts.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.